Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. It is the night of the Tom Brady Hall of Fame induction. It's going to be a big bangaroo out there. I think we got Jay-Z's out there, Kenny Chesney, probably some assorted guests. A lot of Patriots alumni will be in the joint as well. But let's talk a little football. And the Patriots completed minicamp today, and I think on a very high note, with 2 touchdown passes from rookie quarterback Drake Maye to the back pylon on the right, first to Kayshon Boutte, then to Jalen Polk in consecutive red zone trips. A nice close to camp.
Very nice close to camp. I had him for 3 touchdowns really at the very end. There was one in the left corner of the end zone as well, Tom. That was a well-placed ball, very tight coverage. Alex Austin's arm was actually in the pocket for Kayshon Boutte.
Oh, yeah.
And it was still completed.
It was a leaping one, yeah.
So it was, here's how I would sum up Drake Maye's day, if we want to do that off the top here. Slow start. Shaky start to the tune of a sack early, a pick by Azizi Hearn when he was throwing to Juju Smith-Schuster. Then he had a pass broken up by, I don't want to get this wrong because the numbers are screwing me over here, Christian Ellis with 2 S's. You'll remember him from last year as a special teams guy. So he was
uneven.
A little uneven. I don't know if it was the rhythm with the pass catchers, if he wasn't seeing certain defenders. But then he heated up at the end with those 3 touchdown passes. And the one at the very end, which I thought was the play of the day, 1 second left, got to have it situation, push-ups for either side if you can't end up in the end zone and score if you're the offense. And it was a little bit contested. People weren't sure it was actually caught, but Jalen Polk reeled it in. Nice acrobatic play by him and a great throw by the rookie, and the defense was pissed.
Meanwhile, here's what Drake Maye, the quarterback, had to say about the throw.
Yeah, Jim's a ball player, man. Just give him a chance. That's what we're taught. Give him a chance. He says, just give me a chance. That's all he says. So he made a nice play. I think he was in. What y'all think? I couldn't really tell. Turn this on? If I had to say so, I think he was in.
Phil, did Maye look better than the perceived starter, Jacoby Brissett?
Here's what I would say. His high-end moments are better than what we've seen from Jacoby Brissett. So that was true in minicamp practice number 1 when I said he was the best quarterback on the field. It was true again today where the flash plays are really flashy. But, again, he probably should have been picked off twice early in the practice. So does that outweigh the high-end moments? And do you go with the more consistent guy? If you want the numbers out there, people, I know people love their tracked numbers, which are ridiculous, I would acknowledge, but I'm there. I'm tracking every single play just to take notes, so I might as well just tally up the numbers and give them to you. Jacoby Brissett, 10 for 15, 2 touchdowns, 1 drop, had 2 plays where he had to scramble because there was pressure and 1 sack. Drake Maye, 7 for 11, 3 touchdowns, 2 sacks, 1 pick, 2 passes broken up. I think if you just looked at the numbers, you probably would go with Drake Maye even despite the touchdown, or despite the interception.
He only had 11 reps.
This was 11 on 11. This
Okay.
was 11
All
on 11.
Okay.
They each had 4 reps of 7 on 7. And the reason we're not mentioning Bailey Zappi, I think it's important to point out to the folks out there, there are moments in practice where he does not get to practice. He did not, by my count, take an 11 on 11 snap today. So it is a clear 2-quarterback room at this point when it comes to the most competitive parts of practice. Bailey Zappi did get 4 reps in 7 on 7. That was it today in the team periods for him.
You guys are going to wonder, hey, Phil, Tom, what are you going to do for the next month or so? We're going to play a lot of golf. We're going to take a couple vacations. We're going to bounce kids on our knees. We're going to go out. We're going to have a nice time. But we are also going to answer some questions over the next month about what the Patriots have to figure out before training camp begins, or at least by the end of the summer. We're not going to answer the questions. We're going to pose them, and which are the biggest ones to pose. The one that looms over the entire season is, when would Drake Maye start? I'm not going to change my timetable of saying it's probably if the Patriots are out of contention after Arizona, which is late in the season, December-ish, about 3 games left. I'm not changing that because I don't know what it's going to look like against the schemed-up defense and full pads and a running game involved as well. But I am much more open to the idea of it being closer to Halloween. I'm a Christmas guy right now. I could be a Halloween guy.
I still haven't completely ruled out week 1.
Oh, Labor Day.
What I would say is, though, what we need to see next, because we haven't really seen it yet, is him competing, and not to go off on a tangent here, but Mac Jones didn't really have this opportunity until the top guy was actually unavailable. So it wasn't until Cam Newton was off the field and away from the team that he got a chance to go up against the top Patriots defense. And the top Patriots defense said, man, this guy's pretty good. And we figured out that, okay, there was a good chance that he was going to be able to really start here.
I will interject on this, though. When he was hurt, that was Jones going, or he had COVID.
Right.
That was Jones going against the Giants.
It was against the Giants first. What Devin McCourty would tell you is maybe it was a practice right after they had the joint practices with the Giants, that he did 2 minutes against our first team defense and carved us up.
And if you watch or look back at those, what's interesting is Newton would always take the first reps with the ones, but then the numbers for Jones were exorbitantly higher with the ones.
They were clearly trying.
So we're going to need to watch that.
Drake Maye needs to get that. He hasn't. I haven't seen him, and I could be wrong.
That'll
there
be
might be
tell,
others who
right?
have seen him more closely. If he's starting to go up against and throw into guys that are being covered by Christian Gonzalez and Jonathan Jones and Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar, and he's doing well, that would tell me, oh boy, we are closer to Week 1 or Halloween than we are Christmas.
I think it's more important who he's with than who he's going against.
For me, I would go the other way just because they don't have ones at receiver right now. I couldn't tell you who the starters are at receiver. I couldn't. Tyquan Thornton wasn't even out there today. Jalen Polk, I said when he was drafted, was probably their best receiver. He looked like their best receiver today.
Even better than Kayshon Boutte?
Some days it's Kayshon Boutte. Kayshon Boutte would be right there with Polk neck and neck. Kayshon Boutte had a bad drop in the end zone from Drake Maye that should have been caught. But it's usually not Juju Smith-Schuster, who to me very, very much looks limited right now. It's not Tyquan Thornton. It's not KJ Osborne, who, again, I thought had an okay day today. But it's not like they have stars outside of – and this guy's not even a star, but he's a true starter. Hunter Henry would be the one guy I would look at and say, oh, if he's throwing a lot to Hunter Henry, then that's a good sign of where they think he's at.
Yeah, that's a top-tier NFL player. And, go back and you say, well, Hunter Henry, he was the best free agent tight end available, which could be damning with faint praise. No disrespect to Hunter Henry, but it was not a great year for it. But Hunter Henry was injured, and he was still the best tight end out there. And he's been less productive because he's been here for the last couple of years. But that's their best, most potent pass catcher. And Ramondre Stevenson has some digging out to do from his last couple of years. All that aside, we've been there. What did you observe from the offensive line today that piqued, P-I-Q-U-E-D, your interest?
Mike Onwenu spent the entire practice at right guard.
Whoa.
This is a guy who Elliott Wolf called the best tackle in free agency. They were happy to be able to re-sign the best tackle in free agency, and he is now playing on the interior, apparently. Now, is this a permanent change? That we don't know. Are they just trying to see what it looks like with him at guard because Layden Robinson, the fourth-round pick, who looks like a guard-only player, although he was doing some snaps with Drake Maye late in the practice or after practice here today. He's not ready, or they don't like what they've seen from Nick Leverett. I don't know how they could really know, Tom. We don't have pads involved in the equation right now, but today was Mike Onwenu at right guard with Jacoby Brissett and the rest of the guys we would consider starters, and Caden Wallace, the rookie third-round pick, in Onwenu's spot at right tackle.
So, your right side is protected by Onwenu at right guard and Caden Wallace, the rookie.
Right.
And then you got Sidy Sow and Chooks.
And Chooks Okorafor at left tackle.
And David Andrews in the middle.
Correct.
Okay. Are they trying to build depth for right guard? He already knows how to play it.
He already knows how to play it. He already knows. Are they trying to
get
make
quality
sure that
reps because somebody's holding them hostage?
There are two things that go through my mind when I see a combination like the one I saw today, which is, number one, I thought everyone was very confident that Caden Wallace could play left tackle. And again, there's no pads, so let's wait and see what happens at training camp. But Caden Wallace is a third-round pick. That's a valuable pick. You took him because you thought you could transition him from right tackle to left tackle. At least that's what we were told at the time. And now he's not getting any work at left tackle. If you were trying to help a guy make a switch, 40 starts at right tackle for Penn State. That's what Caden Wallace racked up as a collegiate. If you were trying to get him ready to make this significant transition, wouldn't you be getting him as many reps out here on the practice fields as you could, pads or no pads, just to get the footwork down?
Yeah.
It feels like, I'm not saying it is, it feels like a pulling of the ripcord on the left tackle Caden Wallace situation.
Could be that. Could be a, you know what, let's let you do what you're comfortable with here on the last day of camp, and we'll jump back in come training camp. It might not be a ripcord pulling. Might be. Let's get you some quality reps over here, and we'll let Chooks do. Because we're not loving our right tackle situation. We wonder if you can do that. Because Chooks is playing. But you could say Chooks. Yeah, you're right.
Well, when is the right tackle? They're fine with that.
Here's the
other thought. So my second thought. So number one was,
I'm
are they
trying
not
to be
comfortable
less cynical on this.
Are they not comfortable with Wallace at left tackle? That could be. That's theory number one. Theory number two is what they've seen at right guard. They don't love, and so. Now, to get their best five out there, which is something Drake Maye suggested before practice today, they say, well, we have this guy who plays a great right guard, and we have this right tackle that we just drafted who played a great right tackle in college. What if we move the pieces around that way? And Chooks looks okay at left tackle. So let's get Nick Leverett out. Or let's get – Layden Robinson was never even with the starters. Let's get Nick Leverett out of there, and let's see what it looks like with Onwenu at right guard and Wallace at right tackle.
And the funny thing is, today was the most uneven day offensively I've seen – in terms of protection and accuracy. Accurate? I was shooting the shit a lot.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of I would say there was a lot of pressure again today. Yeah, and again, it's hard. There's no pad, so I think it's tough on the offensive line. I'm not trying to make excuses for those guys, but the defensive linemen get to tear off the line of scrimmage. They know pretty much every play is a pass, and it's not super physical, so you're on your heels already. It's already a tough job for an offensive lineman with pads on, and you can't really hit the guy. So you're basically playing basketball with these 300-pounders that are pretty explosive on the other side. So I don't love that. One last thing on this, and again, let's not go overboard because we're still a long way away from week one, and they're probably just trying to figure things out. They might be trying to get a few reps for other people at center not named Antonio Mafi. I'll have to pull it up here today.
Well, that's a good point because Antonio Mafi the other day was throwing absolute bloopers back to Drake Maye. They were unusable snaps.
And suddenly, he was in there a bit at center, but suddenly now Nick Leverett, who's the veteran pickup this offseason, was the second center behind David Andrews working with Drake Maye. So if they're looking at Leverett and they're saying, well, we got to get you some reps at center because you got to be ready to be our versatile interior offensive line guy off the bench, because most teams like to have that guy who can play both positions, then they say, okay, just get away from right guard for the moment. We'll put Onwenu at right guard. We'll put Wallace at right tackle and play center Nick Leverett with Drake Maye, and that's what we'll do here in the spring just to get you those center reps so that by the time we get to week one, you might be able to do both guard and center for us. Maybe that's the most logical explanation because it feels a little extreme for them to say, Caden Wallace doesn't work at left tackle. Get over to the other side. Nick Leverett, we hate to see you with the ones. You're out of here too. It feels like they're probably just trying to figure out what they have.
Yeah, this feels like this is last day of school type stuff to an extent, even though there were some really good plays that do build momentum. But I think that these are these things we want to look at again come training camp. Last day of school, let's get a look at this. I would err on that, and I think that you might have found it with the Mafi thing because we were watching the other day, and when Drake Maye came in with Mafi as his center, they're running hurry up. And everybody would start, and Drake Maye would start moving away from center, and the ball still hadn't appeared yet. And he had to reach out and grab it because I think he was snapping in is that a parabola?
Yeah.
Somehow he was sending back parabolas. And you can't have a parabolic snap.
No.
And you can't have a parabolic snapper.
And it was interesting to see Layden Robinson, again, guard only, viewed in some league circles as a guard only out of Texas A&M, fourth-round pick, snapping the ball to Drake Maye, as was number 75, Ryan Johnson.
Johnson, yeah. Does he work at the Sports Hub?
That's Johnston with a T.
Sorry.
Is that something that Layden Robinson would do on his own? Maybe. It also might be something that the coaching staff is looking at and saying, how do we build some depth at center here? Well, we know Leverett can do it. Let's let him run with Drake Maye at center. And, Scott Peters, tell Layden Robinson he should be snapping with Drake after practice because it's a tough picture at that position behind David Andrews right now.
All right. Speaking of pictures, you can't take them when you're at the Patriots Hall of Fame ceremony for Tom Brady if you're in the media, but we can't take video. Anyway,
I think even pictures are pretty limited at this thing. Yeah,
they're prepping like Mother Scratches out here behind us.
This is that triumphant music that they play, a lot of horns, trumpets, French horns, that kind of thing.
It's the Patriots Hall of Fame music. You all know it well.
That's what it is. I'm like, where have I heard this before? That's exactly what it is.
I just envisioned Kevin Falk, who you still actually protest for.
No, he's deserving. He's just, he's almost as good as James White, which is great. He's a good player.
You know
James
what? That's what I'm going to ask friggin' Brady if I get his
yeah. Please,
now
get him on the record on that.
ass.
Get him on the record on that.
I'm going to write a little column, and I'm just going to point out that we're a long way from Portola Drive and Tommy, the 6th-round pick who didn't want to speak at the podium for the first 5 months of his NFL career. I mean, he has certainly drank from the fire hose of celebrity since 2017.
You're saying rookie Tom Brady would be a little bit turned off by something like this?
Yeah, I do mean that. And I think that over the course of Brady's career, he had to develop an indignation about the amount of things that he passed on for the good of the team. And I think that he was convinced over the course of time by the folks around him you're missing out on opportunities. You're the greatest player in the league, and if you win a 5th, no one else has ever been there. So it's going to be time to maximize. And that's why after they won that Super Bowl against Atlanta, I was told by a business individual who was as close to him as you could be that now everything changes. And it did. And really, that was in early 2017. It has been, as I said, a fire hose of marketing and brand advancing.
Kind of started with Tom versus Time. Did it start with that?
Started with Tom versus Time and the TB12 method.
Yeah.
Those both came out that summer. And that's really what kind of lit the fuse with Bill and created some of the dysfunction. Now, you can say Bill had 2 options there. He could say, he's 40 years old, whatever. Or Bill could say, we've never done it this way, and he didn't ask me. I'm pissed. And he went with that. So they had a hard time finding common ground. And you might have heard the rest of the story.
I think in some ways this is do you think this is fan servicing?
Yes, I do.
It's not necessarily Tom servicing, although maybe he would love to have something like this, even if it was just his
I think it's
gathering of private individuals. But it feels as though, hey, Tom, you had a great career. We want to say goodbye to you in a way that represents just how fantastic your career was. It's going to be big. There's going to be a lot of people there. A lot of people want to be there. A lot of people want to celebrate you. And he shrugs his shoulders and he says, yeah, okay.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But that is because he is now an entity that is as marketable as he is, and he has shown a willingness to do these things, whether it be a roast that is on his dime to an extent, to advance his brand, whether it's working for Fox for $340 million. He understands that it's incumbent upon me too to make myself available to that organization and service the fans and service that organization and service my teammates, even if I'm beat and I'm not going to be the sole beneficiary of it. I'll do that for the crafts because we're owners together.
And don't get me wrong, when I say what I said, it's not to gloss over the fact that this does benefit Brady. I mean, when we see the list of celebrities that are here tonight and who's playing here, it only increases, it services him in that it elevates his profile. It's already at a stratospheric level, but it's just another reminder to the masses, to the internet, this is going to be on Patriots.com, that he's a big flipping deal. And that is good for him.
And my observation is it is so far afield, so polar opposite of what the 2000 to 2005 Brady was about. Now, he went out with Tara Reid, and he went out with Bridget Moynihan. And he enjoyed his celebrity to an extent. But I think he always wanted to be a celebrity in a way, and he tamped it down. And then when he finally was convinced that the coast was clear, you can do it, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. Now, I will say that he did maintain relationships with us here while we were here that were still pretty grounded and real and organic. I think those relationships are hard to conceive of now because he's not here. We're not as of use to him. We're not in his orbit. We should not be clinging on to, hey, remember me from the Metro West Daily News? Yep, I do. You were great. I'm on to something else now.
I think he would be... I know what you're saying, but he'll be happy to see you if he sees you. You're going to be on the right carpet for us.
No, I think he'll be happy to see a lot of people here. I still think he's got that guy in him who is natural and organic, but given his druthers, it's been very clear that the guy who we saw at the beginning, who Don Yee told me in 2002 after the Super Bowl, he's not going to be chasing a bunch of ads. He might do something for Cadillac, and that'll be it. That guy is gone.
He gone.
And we go, too. Enjoy the ceremony tonight. We're going to go on a hiatus for the pods until right before training camp begins. So we'll circle up with you guys in July unless something more pressing brings us to the table. For Phil Perry, for the Skull Crusher, John Henry, for Moose behind the camera today, for Chris Delgado, for everybody at NBC Sports Boston, have a nice summer.